How's it going, Jubitarians? This is Bradley Juby, and this is Top 10 Thursday number 66. Get your kicks on Route 66. Well, anyway, since this is Big 12 Championship Week and Texas Hate Week 2, I decided to do the top 10 Big 12 Championship games. We'll start at number 10 with the 2000 Big 12 Championship game. Oklahoma 27, Kansas State 24. This game was quite particular because this was OU's first ever Big 12 championship game, and it was a back and forth affair between the Sooners and the Cats, and a rematch of a previous game from that legendary Red October run in 2000. But once again, it ended in a narrow but much desired Sooner victory that sent the Sooners to the national championship game, and they won that game. Number 9 is the 2001 Big 12 championship in Irving, Texas, at Texas Stadium. Colorado 39, Texas 37. It was expected that OU and Nebraska would have a rematch, but since both teams got upset in the final game of the year, Colorado won the Big 12 North. Texas won the South. They fought it out. Well, actually, that was a rematch of a game that Texas won. But Colorado played off that momentum and just took it over. Major Applewhite almost led a comeback, but it wasn't enough. If Texas would have won that game, they would have faced Miami for the national title, more than likely. But it didn't happen. And Colorado did go to the Fiesta Bowl. They got beat by Oregon. Texas ended up in the Holiday Bowl. They got... I forgot who they played that year. They played Washington that year. But if only OU had beaten OSU that year, it would have been Colorado and Oklahoma that year. But that's another story for another time. At number 8 is Oklahoma 21, Nebraska 7 from 2006. This was the first time that OU and Nebraska faced each other in the Big 12 championship game. The game started off with a fumble by Nebraska, and OU took it in for the touchdown on the very next play. And later in that game, Paul Thompson for OU led the Sooners on a 99-yard drive that pretty much put the game away in what was really a good defensive battle between the Sooners and the Huskers. But a lot of turnovers in that game killed the Huskers' chances of winning their first Big 12 title since 1999. And OU eventually went to the Fiesta Bowl that year and lost to Boise. But it was good that OU won the Big 12 that year because they went through a whole lot of crap that year. So, yeah. Number 7 is Oklahoma 41, TCU 17 from 2017, last year. This was the return of the Big 12 championship game, and it was a rematch of a game in Norman between the Horned Frogs and the Sooners, with OU leading 3-0. Caleb Kelly took back a scoop and score, and then it got ugly. And OU ended up winning that game and going to the college football playoff. Number 6, Oklahoma 23, Nebraska 20 from 2010. This was the very last Big 12 championship game for Nebraska. They were going to the Big 10. And their last Big 12 game. So it was only fitting that the rivalry pretty much ended with this particular game. OU was down 17-0, but they came back and won 23-20 thanks to some field goals from Jimmy Stevens. And the Sooner D shut down the Huskers and basically waved goodbye to the Nebraska Cornhuskers And we've never played each other since, but we will in 2021. So watch out for that in a few years. Number 5, Oklahoma 35, Missouri 14. Or was it 38-17? I don't know. But that was from 2007 in San Antonio. The Sooners were ranked number 9. Missouri was number 1. They could have gone to the national championship game had they won this game, the Tigers. But OU decided to play spoiler and win their second consecutive Big 12 championship with some defense, shut down a potent Missouri offense, and got a crucial turnover from Curtis Lofton. He picks it off, and OU doesn't look back. Sam Bradford would have a phenomenal game, and OU took care of it. Missouri ended up going to the Cotton Bowl. Had they won that game, they would have gone to the national championship, but, well, you got to get past OU before you ever think about national championships. So, yeah, because we invented championships at OU. So, at number 4 was a sad one for us Sooner fans, but it was Kansas State 35, Oklahoma 7 from 2003. OU had the best team on paper that year, blew out everybody, almost everybody. But those K-State Wildcats, they decided to come to play, and they came to play, and they won. They dominated us. We ended up going to the national championship game anyway, but we ended up losing that to LSU. But this one was an embarrassing night in Kansas City. Unfortunately, it's our only Big 12 championship game loss in the history of the Big 12 championship game. But this is a game where national championship hopes come to die. It's been known to do that. And I just hope that this Big 12 championship game in 2 days will not be that. But this one was a sad game. Very sad. No bueno. All right, at number 3 is Texas A&M 36, Kansas State 33, 1998, 20 years ago. Hard to believe that 20 years ago, Kansas State was one win away from facing Tennessee in the national championship game. And yet, for some reason, underdog Texas A&M gigs the Cats in St. Louis. Sir Parker takes it in for a touchdown in overtime. And K-State ends up going to the Alamo Bowl despite being ranked number 3 in the country. And guess who the defensive coordinator was for K-State that year? Well, it's a guy who recently got fired from OU, Mike Stoops. Because he was planning on heading to OU with his brother Bob, who recently got hired for the OU job. There were some other assistants at K-State that were going to jump ship. I think Venables was one of them, and Mangino was one of them. So, yeah. At number 2, Texas 13, Nebraska 12 from 2009. This is probably the game that Nebraska wanted to go to the Big Ten after this one, because Nebraska's black shirts dominated Texas. And had they held on in this one, there would have been BCS chaos, and Texas would have never gone to Pasadena. It would have been Alabama against, I don't know, maybe Cincinnati, I don't know. But you thought that Nebraska would have won this game, but the refs put a second back on the clock. They kick the field goal, and the Longhorns win and go to Pasadena to face Alabama. Well, we all know how that ended. Texas lost to Bama, and they lost their national relevance in that game. And they're still not fully back yet. But this was the game that pretty much told Nebraska it's time to head to the Big Ten. They still haven't won a conference title since. They haven't won a conference title since 1999. Okay, and the number one Big 12 championship game is the very first Big 12 championship game, and that is Texas 37, Nebraska 27 from 1996. The two-time defending champion Huskers could have gone for a third straight national title had they won this game. But those Longhorns, who won the South that year, despite losing to a winless OU team, had other plans. And James Brown put that game away on the roll left. And Big 12 history was made in that game. One of the upsets of the 90s. Well, anyway, this is Bradley Juby saying peace out. Don't forget, Free Format Friday is tomorrow. Get your questions in. Boomer Center, beat Texas.